Hey guys, welcome to lesson number 5. Is everybody hearing me? Is everything okay? Let me check in the chat if everything's fine. Tell me, where are you from? I see some people from where? Texas. Houston, nice. Wazin, is it how we pronounce? We're gonna talk about percentage today, okay? Dominican Republic, India, Spain, Raul, who else? Switzerland, nice. Romania, India, a lot of Indians, nice guys. Thank you very much for being here. New York, nice. Paris, everywhere, very nice. Cape Town, India. Hi Anil, how are you doing? Venezuela, my neighbor. Brazil, there's Brazilians as well. Francisco is here. Pakistan. Poland, I'm Polish. Actually, I'm Brazilian, but my grandparents are Polish. Nice guys, welcome again. Thank you for being here. It's a pleasure to have you here. And we're gonna talk today about DAX language, okay? The calculate function. So we're going to talk about calculations today. Pillar number 4, remember our 7 pillars. And when we talk about calculations, we talk about the DAX language. Data analysis expressions. That's what DAX means. But before talking about the DAX language, we have to remember what is the filter context and row context. We're gonna focus more on the filter context today, okay? So let me go to Power BI. All these materials are, as I said, I'm gonna share in my Telegram channel. For example, I have here a matrix, a regular matrix with the country, okay, and total sales. It's just a sum of sales amount, like this. Very simple, nothing fancy. And when you talk about filter context, what this means is the following. Every single evaluation in this matrix is in a different filter context. That means it can see different rows in my table. It's a different subset of data. For example, Germany is a value inside my country column, and my country column is in my customer table. When I go to this tab, data tab, and I filter down here. Let me go to the customer table, and let me filter Germany, okay? Filter Germany. I have, down there, you can see, this number of filtered rows, 129. These 129 customers, they filter my sales table like this. So a filter that I applied here in this column, this filter goes through this relationship and filters my sales table. So my sales table, when my value is Germany, when my country is Germany, is different than my sales table when the country is France, for example. They have different rows. They see a different subset of data. This is filter context. Okay? And every single slicer or every other visual in my report, they can filter also. They can change this filter context. Okay? For example, let me place a slicer there with the subcategory name from my product table. If I place a filter here, see the values changing, right? So I have in this case for Germany 2 filters in my filter context: country Germany and subcategory MP4. Both of these filters, like this and this one in here, they are sent to my sales table, and then my sales table is filtered. That's it. So why am I talking about this? Because there are a lot of times we have to we must change this filter context, right? We have to modify this filter context to make some calculations. For example, if I want to put in this same matrix another measure for total sales only for MP4, and I want to compare the total sales for all sales and the total sales for a specific category, then I need to modify my filter context. And this we can get with the calculate function, which is the most important function in the DAX language. So let's see some examples. Let me go to my notes, okay? So this is evaluation context, the combination of all filters that are applied on the report. And they flow across the relationships. Row context is when we create, for example, calculated columns, or we use some functions that are evaluated in a row context. For example, sum x, average x, mean x. Filter is a filter. There is a function called filter we're going to use, which is also a function evaluated in a row context, and so on. We're not gonna be focusing on this row context today. In another live, we do this, okay? And then we talk about context transition, something that very important as well. Let me show another thing before talking about calculate. Let me show you another very nice, very used function, which is the distinct count. For example, if I want to calculate here in this matrix, okay, the number of products that I sold for each of these countries, the number of different products that I sold for each of these countries. That means the number of different product keys, okay? How can I do this? Tell me in the chat. How can I calculate the number of distinct or unique products that I sold for each of these countries? Tell me. Let me drink some water. Is it better with many small tables or fewer large ones? Fewer large ones. Depends. Still, depends. No one's gonna tell me? I'm gonna take questions in the end, okay guys? I cannot take questions and also give the lesson, otherwise I would not do any of both. Okay, let me go here. I'm gonna create another measure called product sold, okay? Distinct row, almost Brill. Brill edge, almost. Let me call this products sold, okay? Distinct count. And then I'm gonna perform a distinct count over my product key column. Product key. But then I have two options, from product table or from sales table. If I use this one, product table, I'm gonna have all products, a list of the number of all products that I have in my product table. So it won't be filtered by the sales. So I must use this one, product key from the sales table. Enter. And let me put this in here. Okay, look at this. So for Germany, for customers living in Germany, I sold 25 different products. Okay? For customers that live in the United Kingdom, I sold 28. And for those in France, I sold 15. And the total is 28. The total is not the sum of this, because the total is evaluated in a different filter context. What's the filter context in here in the total? Is the whole table, the entire table, without any filter being applied. So distinct count is a measure that I cannot sum. It's a non-additive measure. So be aware that when I am in the total line, the total line not always is gonna be the sum of these values. As you can see here, it's right, it's not wrong. Okay, this is correct. This is correct. So this is filter context. See, the total is very important for you to understand that not always this value is gonna be the sum of these ones. All right? Let me now introduce the calculate function. So calculate is the only function that can modify the filter context. It can add a filter to the filter context, or it can change the filter context, or remove. We're gonna see examples for those. And the syntax is as this one. We pass an expression first, which can be a measure or a sum, an average, and so on, and filters, as many as I want, as many as I need. And filters are tables, okay? Filters are tables. They are translated into tables. We're gonna see some examples. Let me show here, it's easier. So let's go. Let me now create another one, create new measure, total sales for MP4, for example. No, let me change for color. Let me use here another. I'm gonna change to color, okay? Product color, black, blue, and so on. It's easier. And I want to create a measure for total sales red. Total sales red. Red products. Shift enter to break line. Calculate expression first. So I want to grab my total sales and to include or to add a filter. So total sales. Then I separate with this comma. Shift enter. And now you pass the expression for the filter you want to apply to this expression. So it's color equals to red, for example, in my example. Enter. And then let me put it here. There you go. Let's make this a currency and 2 decimal places. See, the values are smaller than this. They are filtered, right? Let me get rid of this product sold. I'm not gonna use anymore. There you go. Now a question for you. Please help me. I want your help. I want you to participate with me, okay? If I place a filter for blue, for example, in this slicer, what's gonna happen to this value? Blue. What's gonna happen to this value? Is it gonna stay the same, like this, or it's gonna be blank, as I cannot have red and blue at the same time? What do you think? Error. Dalvir Chauhan. Sorry when I pronounce your name wrong. Okay, it's very difficult for me. Nothing will happen. Right. Mirza Ali Murad. Remain the same as red. Perfect. Remain same as red. Remain same as red. See. There you go. Green. Orange. Orange changed. Why? I don't know. I'm gonna check. Oh no, it didn't change. Sorry. Let me just sort by this one. Then you can see it doesn't change. So it does not change. Okay? Why? Because of this. Let me now remove this country. I'm gonna remove country and I'm gonna use color there. You can see that the value is equal to red. See this value here? It's going to repeat in this. So what's happening here? In this case, as I'm using a color in my filter context, this measure, calculate, actually is overriding my filter context. It's overriding with the red. Because under the hood, this is translated to this. Filter, then all color, and here I use color equals to red.
This is the very same of this, okay? Of course, this one is much easier, right? This line 4, is much easier to write. Here I have more lines to write. But it uses an all function for this type of filter, and the all function removes the filter context for what I pass in here. So for like this, all product color. So when I am in green, for example, this all removes this filter from green, and then it's gonna be considered the red color. Okay? Let me create another measure for you to understand better this all function. Let's go. Total sales with all equals to calculate total sales all. I'm gonna use only all without filtering any value, and then I'm gonna use the color column. Let me go there, and let's use this here. You can see that all values are equal to the total without filtering. This one, okay, this one, and this here. Because all removes, let me write here with this slash, it's for comments. All removes filter from the table or column passed as argument. Okay, so I use here color as argument, correct? So as I have color in my filter context, it's gonna remove this filter context for every single color. What if I change, now let's do some examples. What if I change from color to subcategory in my slicer? And I'm gonna place a filter to, oops, sorry. And I'm gonna place a filter on this category. You can see that these values are changing. Therefore, they are considering this filter. So only in the color column, in this case, I am removing filter. But if I remove filters from all table, like this, then when I apply a filter to the subcategory, this value stays the same. So it removes filter from either the color column, the product name, or the subcategory, from all columns that I have in this table. So be very careful when you use the all function to remove filters, to apply any type of percentage calculations, and so on. So this is very useful for percentages, right? Like this. Let me create another measure. I'm gonna compare the percentage for sales, percentage of total sales. Then I can divide my total sales by total sales all, like this. Let me go there and use percentage. Okay. C. Let me remove the filter. Okay, there you go. So here. So this one is a percentage of the grand total, because I'm using these values and this, correct? In order to create my percentage. This one divided by this gives 27. This one divided by this, 21, and so on. If I put a filter in here for Bluetooth, you can see the values no longer add to 100. The value is smaller. Because this total sales all did not change. It's still total sales for the all product table. So be aware that all removes filters from the table or from the columns only that you pass in there. Is that okay? Is that fine?
I'm gonna use again color in there. Color. There we go. I have color in the filter, in the slicer actually, and in my rows for this matrix. Now let's see the following. I'm gonna change to black or to blue. Let me use black and blue and green. These three values, okay? I selected three values. You can see I'm not adding to 100. The sum is not 100. How can I make this become 100 instead of considering the total? I want to consider this value. So I want to grab this one and place in here, here, and here. Then I can change all to all selected. Just by changing all to all selected, you can see the values are changing. All right. Let me do the following. Let me stay with all in this one, and I'm gonna create another one with all selected. So it's gonna be easier. You can have both measures then later. Create measure, all selected, all selected, and then here I'm gonna change the comments. Removes filter from the table or column passed as argument. Respecting filters. This is the difference between all and all selected. What I have after this comma. Respecting filters that come from outside. So for example, in this case, my slicer is gonna be considered when I use all selected. When I use all, it's not. Enter. Let's use this here and here. Change to currency, 2 decimal places. Oops. There we go. Okay. And this total sales is all, okay? All total sales. And I can create now a all selected total sales, like this, a division, this percentage considering all selected. So there is no right or wrong. Depends what you want, right? It depends on your requirement. All selected, like this. We're gonna review of all of this in a moment. All selected in here. And let's like this. Okay, there you go. Let me get rid of this total sales red. So here you have the regular total sales, okay? Regular total sales, just considering the sum. Here you have total sales for all the table, all the product table. So no matter what filter I apply in my color column or my subcategory column, it's gonna be removed. And this percentage considers this total. In here, I changed. I used all selected. So it's gonna ignore these filters in here, in this matrix. It's gonna remove filter here, but it's gonna consider there. All selected, does this. And this percentage always gonna be until 100. These are the difference between all and all selected. With this, it's gonna be easier to understand again total sales for the red color that I'm gonna use there. Because total sales to the red color, like this, I use an all behind the scenes. It's automatic, all right? When you do, let me comment this and use like this. When I write this, product color equals to red, it uses all behind the scenes. That's why this value is gonna be always constant and always equal to red. So some very important concepts about the calculate function and how you can combine the all function with the all selected and so on. Okay, guys. Now, let's do the following. Let's change to another page. Duplicate page. Okay, let me get rid of this. Total sales, all. And let's use like this. Let's create a matrix like this one. Yeah, it's fine. A matrix with the subcategory first and then the color right below. Let's use total sales all and this percentage. Here you have. You can see that with this percentage, these values are being compared to the total sales for all the products. Correct? You can see this one is constant. It's the same value. What if I want to make something different? What if I want to compare, for example, when I am in this line, blue and P4. If I want to compare this value over this, over the total for the subcategory, we have to do some changes, right? We have to consider the subcategory filter, the filter in the subcategory name column. So that's the logic. In order to have another percentage right there, another percentage, which is related to the subcategory, then I want to remove my filter to the color, right? I want to remove my filter to the color, but I want to consider my filter in the subcategory. How can I include, how can I return a filter to the filter context? Let's do the following. I'm gonna take total sales all, this one, so Ctrl C, and create another measure, which I'm gonna call total sales all, let me see, total sales all, total sales for subcategory. Total sales for subcategory, okay? So I'm removing filter from my product table. This means that I'm removing filter from color and also from subcategory because they are in the same table. But if I want to consider my subcategory name, I can use the values function. Values is a function that returns a table as well, and it can return to the filter context the values for a specific table or for a specific column. So if I use subcategory in here, like this, I'm gonna remove filter from all table, but I'm gonna consider the subcategory name. Like an exception, right? Like an exception. Let's use this in there. You can see the following. See the numbers. These numbers there, okay? They are equal to this in here. And right there, they are equal to this. Then I can create my other percentage just by dividing this measure by this. You can see you can see it's gonna work. New measure. Let me call percentage of total sales by subcat. Divide total sales over subcategory name, this one. Percentage, this. There you go. 100, 100. So these values now are being compared to my total value for subcategory. Yes. Perfect. where I can get lesson 2 in the link in the description below, okay? Okay guys, so we can combine all and values, and this is very, very powerful, very powerful. Let me call this page 2, and let's show some other examples, okay? Some other examples. Let me create another page. No, I'm gonna duplicate this. Duplicate this one. Let me use now country again. We're gonna see now how can I make 2 filters in a measure. For example, let me go total sales red. Here I have one filter being applied in my color, right? Which is red. What if I want to apply 2 filters? For example, red and subcategory equals to MP4. Both filters. Let's do the following. Let me copy. Let me create another measure. Let me get rid of this. And then total sales red and MP4. MP4, MP3 is the big name. Yeah, it's okay. And MP4. Okay. I cannot reference two columns in a Boolean expression like this. This is a Boolean expression, right? True or false. I cannot do this. Like, for example, if I try to use subcategory name equals to, I think it's written MP3 and MP4, right? I have to write exactly the same. MP4, MP3, I think. Let me go there and look first. It's gonna give an error, but just to understand, let me just go there and see the correct name. MP4 and MP3. It's correct. You cannot do this. You cannot reference multiple columns in one single statement, in one single expression like this. What you can do is the following. You can, instead of using this and, how do you say? This and condition, right? You can separate by comma. Then it's gonna work. Let me go with this value. Where is it? There. You can see the values now are even smaller. It's filtering 2 tables. But what if I want something different? I want a or condition instead of and. Then it's gonna be different. Symbol, yes, symbol. How to apply or? That's the question now. Kendra. Total sales red or MP4. So if I sold red, I want to count this. If I sold MP4, I also count. So it's gonna add values for total sales red and total sales MP4. Then I cannot do, for example, this as well. This is the symbol. I forgot the word. The symbol for or. Okay? Double pipelines. It's not gonna work. You cannot use two columns, 2 different columns, okay, in this statement. Then you must use filter. You must use the filter function. Filter, I can reference product table and do this. Then it's gonna work, okay? Because then I know that I have a table here being iterated, being evaluated. Then it's gonna work. Let me go there, use this value. You can see, let me use currency and 0, 2 for this as well. Currency and this is the OR condition. This is the AND condition, and this is the OR condition. For OR condition, you must use filter. You must embed this expression in a filter function. It's the logical OR. Perfect, thank you. Logical operator. That's the word. Logical operator. Okay, guys, let me save this. You're gonna get this later, right? In my Telegram channel. And let me see. Oh, okay. But there is a very important requirement. Not a requirement, but a very important tip for you. That is the following. Always try to use the minimum number of columns when you are filtering the column. So I'm filtering two columns only, right? Color and subcategory. And in this filter, it's retrieving all columns from the table product, from the product table, because I'm specifying the whole table here. What I can do is the following. Instead of referencing the whole table, it's better to use only the columns you're using. It's going to give a better performance. The value is going to be the same. It's not going to change this value, but it's going to give a better performance for you. You can use all color, comma, subcategory name, like this. Then you are using only two columns here, and you are calling only two columns there. The same columns. See, the numbers are not going to change. Okay? This is better. Of course, it's not wrong using the whole table, but for performance, this one is better. Okay, let me go there. All of this, it's written there. When you have multiple filters, they are evaluated using AND condition. Okay? I can use Boolean expressions that return true or false, but I can reference only one single column. I cannot reference measures, and also I cannot reference expressions like sum or max. For all of these three options, or actually for more than one column, or for referencing measures, or for using expressions, I must use the filter function. The filter function, like this. Let's see some examples for time intelligence. This is page 3. Duplicate. Page 4. Time intelligence is something very important to calculate, for example, year to date, or comparison time over year over year, month over month, and so on. Let's use now the date table. So I have a date table like this. Oh, it's in Portuguese. Let me delete. And I'm gonna create again. Let's see if it's gonna work. So to create a date table, you can either create in the Power Query or using DAX. Modeling, new table. Date table equals to calendar auto. I'm gonna use the calendar auto because it's gonna work here. Then I have a, where is it? Date table, go there. Go here, date with order date. Oh, yeah, date, order date. Now, let's try. This is still in Portuguese, I don't know why. Let's create our columns by hand. New column, let's see. Year equals to year of date. And month, new column. This is still DAX, okay? But we're using now date time functions. New column, month, date, okay? And let's see the month names if it's gonna work or not. New column, month name equals to format. We're gonna format date
using 3Ms. And then we have to sort by, we have to sort this column by month. Okay, there we go. Now let's use year on the rows, month name right below. Yeah, it's still in Portuguese, but it's okay. Feb, it's February. Do we have some good questions there? I saw. Horizontal analysis using variable. I'm gonna take these questions later. Okay, we have total sales by month and year, okay? What if I want, for example, to compare this value with the previous one, with the previous month? I showed this during PowerBI week. I'm gonna repeat now. New measure. We're gonna use calculate for this. Total sales last month, LM, last month. Calculate total sales, and then we can use previous month or date add. They're a little bit different, but it's okay. Date add, then you pass the date column. You always have to, in the first argument, to use the date column in your model. To pass the date column in your model. Number of intervals is the set of dates that I want to go back or go further. I want to go back 1 month. So -1 month. Like this. Let's use currency. 0. Oh, sorry, 2 decimal places. And poof, there we go. You can see that on March, this value is this one, right? And so on. So I am able to perform now the horizontal analysis that someone asked, just by dividing one by the other, making the difference and then dividing one by the other. I'm not going to show the percentage, just this one. If I want actually the last year instead of last month, I can change, for example, last year to -1 year or -12 months, the same, -1 year. The first year is going to be all blank. There is no 2016. And then this one, this value is equal to January 2017. This is good to perform some analysis time over time, right? So for example, I can do the following. I can use a line chart, and then let me use here a slicer for year. Let me change there to list. Okay, and then change also to horizontal. There you go. If I choose 2018, you can see that in this one, or maybe this, yeah, this is okay, or even this. Then you choose. Okay, but this is okay. Total sales is the total sales for the current year being selected, which is 2018. And total sales last year is for 2017. So it's dynamic. It reflects the values that I choose in my filter. For example, 2019, you can see that I have data until March only. So the year of 2019 is still incomplete. But you can change this comparison just by clicking on this slicer. This is very nice. This is very nice. Very dynamic. If you have lots of years, it's very easy to do this analysis time over time.
Let me now duplicate this one. I'm gonna leave as is, page 5. Get rid of this, remove this as well. Okay. Let's now do some examples for cumulative sums. Dates, year to date, for example. How do we calculate year to date? How can we do some cumulative sums over the year only? Let's do it. Let me remove total sales last year. Add another one. Total sales year to date. Right? Calculate total sales dates YTD. See, I have dates between, dates in period that I can use together with calculate. I have dates MTD. Oops. Dates MTD for month to date, quarter to date, quarter, and also for year. Let's go with year. Use the date column, and it's all done. Very, very easy to perform some cumulative sums. Let's go there and make this currency with 2 decimal places. See, what's this value, for example? It's the sum of this. So it's summing all months from the first day of the same year until the last day of the current month. So it's going from 1st of Jan until 30 of April. Nice writing, right? This gives us 35,000, and so forth. Same thing happens in August. This value is equal to this. If we change this to a line chart, it's going to be very easy to understand. Look, this is the line chart. So here you go until December 2017, and then you start again. January 2018, and there you go, and then you start again. As I don't have any data for March until December of 2019, this value is the same. It's going to be constant until the end of the year. Is everything clear? Is everything okay? Let me drink some water. Good handwriting, yes, I know. How can we use columns from 2 tables in filters? 2 tables. No problem. You can use, for example, in this one, I can use, instead of red and MP4, if I want another table, red and France, I can use this. Country equals to France. It works. No problem at all. Okay, guys. Now, let's do the following. Let's make it a little bit harder. What if I want, instead of going back to this value, instead of going down, I want always to be a cumulative sum for all years. So it's going to be like this. And goes on. How? Then we have to hard code this measure. There's no way to do this without knowing filter, all, and so on. So let's go. Let me first explain the logic behind this. When I am in March 2018, what I want to do is the following. I want to sum this with this, right? So when I am on March 2018, I want to sum all values from the first day of January 2017 until March is 31. 31 March 2018. So think about this. When I am on March, I see only 31 days. My filter context is for 31 days only. How can I see all other dates from the first day of my calendar? From the first date of my date table. I have to use the all function, right? To be able to grab all the date table. But I don't want all the date table, because I don't want, for example, values for April, May, and so on after March. So I have to filter until March. Let's do the following. Let's do this step by step. Total sales, running total sales, pode ser? Pode ser. Deixa eu pensar. Let me think a little bit about this in Portuguese. I'm thinking in Portuguese. Yes, correct. Running total. Running total sales. Like this, calculate total sales. If I use all date, what's gonna happen? Let's see. All date. So I'm calculating total sales for all my date table. Cumulative sales, yeah, it's better. Cumulative sales, right? Cumulative sales. Better. Cumulative sales, let's go. You can see that the value is equal to the total. I do not want this. I want to filter down to the last day of my current filter. How can I know the last day of my current filter? Using the max function. So let's do the following before doing this. I'm gonna ask you one question. New measure, okay? What's the max date? When I use max of date. A very simple one. Max date. Max of my date column from my date table. I'm gonna leave this measure in here. I'm gonna grab this measure, put in here, and what's the date is gonna appear in these months? The last date of my calendar table or the last date of my current filter. The last date of my current filter context. Okay? So for example, in March, I have the last date of March. So let's go back to this. And I'm gonna use a variable in here. Let's test this variable. Variable called last date or max date, either way. Max date. Okay, and then I'm gonna create another variable called the running total equals to this. And in here, I'm gonna return the last date first. The use of variables is nice when you have, for example, to split your measure into pieces. So you can test and see the result. Test and see the result, and so on. So it's very nice to use when you have longer measures. So I'm testing here the last date, which is the max date of the date. Enter. You're gonna see these values are gonna change equal to this. Same one, same thing. This one is using variables in this measure, and this one using the measure that I'm gonna delete right now. It was just for testing. This one, delete. Let me save so I don't lose this. Broke? No. Save. Go. There. Okay. So in this running total, now what I can do is the following. I can filter my dates to be before my max date. So my date actually must be smaller than or equal to my max date, my last date. When I do this, it's gonna be a dynamic calculation, and it's gonna be what we want. The running total for the cumulative sum for sales. Let's see first in the line chart. See, this in blue is our cumulative sales, okay? Or running total, as you prefer. And this in purple is my year to date. Let's see again the measure so we can understand better. So in this step, I am getting all my date table. But before getting all the date table, I'm gonna restrict until the last date of my current filter. Let me see if you understood. Yes, very good, guys. Very nice, very nice. Last date. Some people said last date of the calendar. Some people said last date of the current filter. So all clear, nice. So this is what I had to show in this lesson 5, okay? Let me see. Yeah, these exercises. We're gonna explore more measures, more cases in other lives, in other sessions, okay? Don't worry. We have topics for 1, 2, 3 years here. Yeah, I know, DAX again. Yeah, I'm gonna present some other examples during these lessons for DAX. I'm gonna use DAX instead of changing the topic, okay? I had a nice question here from Vipin, which is the following. Vipin, is there any shortcut to copy measures created on one table to another table? Let's say I have 5 measures in sales table 2019, and I want to create some measures for sales for sales table 2020. Okay, first, there is no way to copy measures without using. No, there is no way of doing this easily. You can use an external tool called Tabular Editor that can help you, okay? But my question is the following. Why do you have 2 tables for sales split by year? You shouldn't. You should union these tables. You should append one to the other and create a column for the year. So you have only one table for all the sales, and there is a column for knowing which year you have. So it's better, okay? So go to Power Query and append these queries into one table only. Let's see. Questions. How to use 2 different tables with OR condition? It doesn't make too much sense, I think. Doesn't make sense to do OR condition for 2 different tables. Or no, yeah, it makes sense. I think it's this one. Let's see. Or from 2 different tables. No. From 2 different tables. Then we should do the following. Let's see. Let's try. Let's try total sales red or France. Okay? So then you have to use the table here for both tables, correct? Let's see if I can do the following. Then I have to do a cross join. I have to do a cross join of all color with the all country. So I have a cross-join table with all colors, all countries, and then I can use. See, when I try to use a subcategory name in this expression, this filter, but I don't have this column here, it gives an error. So in here, let's change to country equals to France. Like this. Total sales red or France. Correct? Nice. Praveen, make a very nice question. Very good one. Let me copy in here. How to calculate month to date and year to date between previous year, current year, only until today, or only until the last day I have in my sales table. Correct? I can show this because I don't have today. I have until March. Where is it? Close, open. I have until March. Let me see the last date I have in my order. Sort descending. 8th of March. What we can do is the following. Go to your date table, and create a column called, for example, has data or has sales. Has sales. It's like true or false, okay? Has sales. And then if my date in this table here, in my date table, is less than or equal to my max date, my maximum of order date, right? Then it's true. Otherwise, it's false. And then you can see that when we arrive to the last date, let's see, there. Here's false. 9th of March. Then just apply a filter here. For example, you can apply a filter on this visual or on pages or on this page with that column, has sales. Has sales, true. Worked. Thank you, Sudarsana Sahu. You are amazing with DAX. Thank you very much. Is cross-join like left outer join? No. Cross-join is like in SQL. Cross-join SQL. I don't remember. Cross-join SQL. I think it's cross-join, no? Cross-join. Cross-join do the following. Let me show what cross-joins do. I'm gonna create another table. And I'm gonna call cross join equals to cross join. So it's a table, okay? Cross join with all color and all country. The same ones I used there. It's gonna give a table with 2 columns and all the combinations for color and country. Let's see. Cross join. 2 columns with all colors and all countries. It's a combination of everything. It's different from cross-join in SQL. Cross-join in SQL, I think it's the same. I don't know. Sorry, I don't know. Yes, cross-join is the same. Cross-join is the same. But left join is like a relationship, for example. These relationships work as left outer join. Okay. It's a Cartesian product. Thank you. That's it. Cartesian product. Thank you, Ravi and Rekha. Sorry about my pronunciation. Cartesian product. Difference between cross-join and generate.
Generate is evaluated in a row context. So for every single row in my first table, I perform the second calculation. It's a little bit difficult to show in this case. I can try to find some examples in other sessions. Okay. I think that's it, guys. Difference between cross-join generate, I already told. Okay, guys, that's it. That's it. I'm gonna take this PBIX file and these notes and send in my Telegram channel, all right? So thank you very much for being here. 1 hour, 10 minutes. I think we are good to go. And all sessions are gonna last 1 hour. Okay, today was a little bit longer. Okay, guys. Then don't not forget to subscribe to also join for the Power BI week. We're gonna have again in January, and we talk in the next lesson next week. See you there in the next lesson. Okay, have a good weekend, everybody.